It wasn't immediately, but it definitely had repercussions, and that was Marcy Long in Fallout 4. In case you don't know, you come out. What?
Ooh?
Ooh? Is that who or ooh?
Who? It's the bit from Guardians of the Galaxy where they go, who? Because I've completely forgotten everything about Fallout 4.
There's suddenly there's people talking over everyone. It's like Vietnam flashbacks to old chatty.
Welcome back.
After you leave the vault, after the bombs have fallen, you go into Concord and you meet Preston Garvey and his chums. And one of them is this woman who's just really goddamn grumpy. I think I want to say she like lost her son in the war or something, but she's just so annoying, right?
Grumpy about that.
So you get out of the museum, you kill the Deathclaw and all the raiders, and you go back to Sanctuary, and then you have your spiel with Preston Garvey, he's being all nice and stuff, and then I think you speak to, is it Sturgis, the guy with like the sort of Elvis hair, who's like he gives you the tutorial on how to do all the base building. And as I've said, I did a lot of base building in Fallout 4 already, so I was already buying into this. So I'm there milling around doing stuff, going around scrapping cars and bits of house to get more material to build a nicer house. And all Marcy was doing is just following me going, do you know what, I absolutely hate this place. I don't like the fat monster.
Where's my
and it was
son?
just like, right, okay, I'm going to bide my time and hope she just wanders off and goes and annoys somebody else. But no, she just persistently was walking around with me when I'm trying to do stuff. And in the end, I just thought, you know what, right, screw this. Spun around with a shotgun and blew her head off. I was like, good, this is great. Not realizing that then everyone in Sanctuary then proceeded to attack me as well, because this was obviously early on in the game and I didn't know what the repercussions would be for killing somebody.
Consequences? Never heard of her.
Yeah. So I had my boy Preston chasing me. My old companion Codsworth wasn't happy with me either. And
did you keep the save? Did you keep going?
Yeah, unfortunately I had to roll back the save to bring her back to life because I was siding with the Minutemen in this campaign and I didn't want to piss Preston off. So I had to roll back the save and bring her back to life.
You've in this scenario, you have gone to a grieving mother of a war hero, of a dead war hero. And she's just trying to open up to you, man, in an era where there's nobody around. Like, there's very few human souls. And in response, you've blown a heed clean off. Like,
I'm a disgraceful person. What can I say?
Did you loot the bod? And was there anything good in that bod?
I don't think she had anything good on her. I think even when you like trade with her, she's got absolutely nothing except bad opinions. So, but like,
hey, you could live off them, mate. It's all right.
You're not looting, Scott.
Basically, I moved everyone to the castle and just left her in Sanctuary by herself by the end of that save. And then I started playing it again on Twitch, and it just, if you play a Bethesda game over 60 FPS, it just doesn't work. So I only got like a few streams out of it. And when Marcy came back, and it was like, oh, good, you're here again. I forgot about you. I'm there like proper effing off at Marcy on stream. And there's somebody called Marcy in my chat going, what did I do?
Oh, Rich. I think, honestly, you've come up with another entry here for 10 video game fates worse than death, because instead of killing her, you then chose to leave her, like at the end of the conversation, in this tiny little cramped, desolate building at the start of the game, rather than take her with all her mates to the castle. I think you've actually come up with a worse punishment rather than the initial one you had.
Remind me never to piss off Rich. Like,
no.
Don't piss me off, I'll blow your head off.
Okay, so for my one, I'm going to pick Persona 5 because I started that back in like 2017, 2018, whenever it came out. And the thing that put me off that game over time was the fact that you have a little cat helper who you'd think would be the best thing ever, a little cat called Morgana, who's sort of like possessed by the spirit of a human. And, you know, they're really lovely and everything, in theory. But
Josh.
The way that if Josh, you know, are you all right, mate?
Well, you just mentioned that it's a cat. And in theory, it's good. I don't know, where's this going, mate?
Welcome to my life.
Right? Oh boy.
Big animal lover over here.
More dead cats in the news this week. I can't deal with this.
No. I tried to kill. So the whole thing with in Persona 5, the way that game mandates what you can and can't do all day long, because you have a mute protagonist for the most part, unless you do a combo and then they're like, yeah. Like for the most part, it's mute. The way that they reinforce what you can and can't do each day is this little cat just pops in. Cat can talk, cat's a human spirit, it's a thing. And so the cat just pops in and just says like, you don't want to do that, you want to go to bed. You don't want to do that, you want to make sure you're reading a book instead. You don't want to go grind in the dungeon, get your levels up. Why don't you just go to bed instead?
Is it like Clippy from Microsoft Word?
Yes, yes, literally. And so once you've done that for 60-ish hours, I hated this little cat. And I love cats, but I hated Morgana. And I just wanted him, I think it's him, to just leave me alone alone. And so there's a point in the story where Morgana gets annoyed with you and leaves. And I was like, good, just go off and die. Like they get lost in this like netherworld, and characters that are still on the surface or whatever are like, should we go save them? And you have the option to be like, I'm sure they'll be fine by themselves. And so I just kept hitting that. And no, the game main path takes you back. You have to go and save them eventually, which I despise. So I did try to kill the angry little cat, but it wouldn't have it. So
I love the clarifications of, sorry, officer, it's not murder, it's attempted murder.
It's
you know what I mean?
attempted
Like,
murder.
come on,
If I could have brandished the shotgun, I would have spun around and took her head off, but I can't. So that's all I have. But I wish I could have killed the cat, and I couldn't.
I think mine's a much more noble murdering than either you or yours or Rich's.
Noble murdering.
It's in Red Dead 2. And the simple answer is it's the clan. As soon as you see the clan in Red Dead 2, they're getting absolutely getting all the revolvers out, the explosive ammunition on the shotgun. That's it. That's all they're doing. And then you get into Saint Denis, and there's that little eugenicist fellow that's on the store. I just walk up to him like the beginning or the end of Open Range. If anyone's seen that film, it's a great western with Kevin Costner and Robert Duvall. You should watch it. And there's a bit in the film where they go, "Are you the guy who killed our friend?" And he goes, "Yeah, and I enjoyed it too." And he just walks up and just shoots him in the head. And I just did that as well. You know the best part about this as well. If you kill that man in Saint Denis, no one cares. It's great. You just walk up and he's dead, and it's great.
I never found these guys because they were in Mafia 3 had a whole bunch of the clan you could hunt down as well. I never found either of these people.
Both cathartic experiences, I must say.
Just make a save beforehand and just relive that over and over again.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if this is noble, guys, but you know in Mass Effect 1 where you get the choice to either kill Ashley or Kaidan on Vermeer towards the end.
Yes.
Well, I've been waiting the entire game to just get rid of Kaidan because he was a hanger-on wet blanket of a dude.
Yeah.
And I think, he's not the worst guy in the world, but he's so personality free, and I'm like, why? How did you make it on my team? Have you just come from money? Do you have contacts? Did your dad get you a job on this ship with me? I don't know, but I think it's telling that every single time, and I played Mass Effect 1 like 8 times over the years, it's always telling that I kill off this absolute brown bread, plain brown bread guy over.
What's you got against wholemeal bread?
Yo, wholemeal bread's bad, and wholemeal bread's not good.
You need fiber?
No, get it from your cereal, man. But I think it's always telling that I kill off Kaidan over the actual space racist in my party because at least she's got something about her. She has a personality, and maybe she's got like a redemptive arc in there somewhere. I always see at least. I don't even know who Kaidan is. I've never given him the time of day to let him explain himself and justify why he deserves to live in that moment. I always nuke him.
Me and my wife are replaying Mass Effect 1, and she picked Kaidan all the way through, and I was like, what are you doing? Everyone's decision back, when we first played it, obviously we were younger, obviously we were hornier, and so we just sort of went with Ashley the whole way through. But I think this time, Kaidan isn't that bad. I think it's just that our childhood, teenage versions of ourselves are like, well, you've got to go with Ash because clearly she's the one with the shotguns and she's fit in that. But I think if you just, Kaidan's fine. Kaidan was always fine. If you just let someone of more maturity play, they're not that bad.
Maybe, Scott, maybe it is just a hangover from being 14 and, not appreciating Kaidan's beauty at the time as much. But even now, I don't know, because I've watched the cutscenes with him in afterwards.
He's not great, but he's still right.
He's not great. What were they thinking when he came up with him? It's like if you put me in a video game, it's like, you don't need it, dude. Come up with someone more interesting. He's not needed. Get rid of him every single time.
Can we please have Scott's Geordie Shepherd in the next Mass Effect game?
The character that I wanted to kill straight away was Reed Thompson in Outer Worlds. Now, when you first start playing it, you're crash landing into this planet, and then you go off into Edgewater, and there's this really slimy guy that you meet after going up into a lift into his main room. And he's like, oh yeah, we need to redirect the power from Adelaide's place because she's made a camp over there. Why don't you just go sort her out and collect your item for your ship? And you go there and she tells you this really heartfelt story. And you're like, wow, this guy from Edgewater, the mayor, is really, really slimy. And I just don't care for him at all. So I went back and just shot him in the face. And then Pavati guilt tripped me into killing him because because, you know, it's wrong to just assume that he was slimy and everything else. And I was like, I don't really care, Bavati. Like, you can come with me. You can just bugger off. Obviously, like, you know, I repaid her debts in that, like, lovely little side quest that you do for her. But yeah, just him. Like, I know it's kind of like wrong to assume that he was, you know, the first impression of him was bad, but I just couldn't help it at all. And even
This is
after
like
getting
second impression, because you talked to him a little bit, and then you went and talked to the other woman, and she was like, "No, actually,
Yeah.
he's the awful one." You went, "Yeah, all right then, yeah, cock shotgun."
and he
ran back
tried to
in.
put the blame onto you for for directing the PAL from Edgewater to her place, and he even like guilt trips you like after trying to get the item for your ship afterwards as well, and then he like does that whole monologue, and he's like, "Oh, I hope you're happy," and then he tries to kill you as well, so you have no choice but to kill him anyway. Yeah, I was just kind of glad that I killed him anyway, because right at the start, I mean, I did save scum and just not kill him because Bavati guilt tripped me that much, but it was great to just take it out on him just to see what happens, really.
I think he deserves it, to be honest.
He
I mean, I just that game can always kind of roll with whatever you do, but I just love the back and forth. Like, you should kill this dude, yeah, okay, and then straight after, well, should you have done that? Well, I don't know, but let's just roll with
The
it.
moral of the story is we all deserve our Dr. King Schultz moment from Django Unchained, I think.
Yes.
I couldn't resist.